my friends, welcome back to another episode of the Find a Way podcast with Dusty. We are coming close towards the very end of the year, and I think this is a timely episode just to talk about 2024 as a reflection. What this year was for you. I know me in particular, I started the year feeling good that I finished the marathon last year, or the year before that. I was coming towards the tail end of, I think it was October, November. I completed 2 marathons, and I was really ramping up my running. And it became ever a possibility that my skin surgery would actually take place after 8 years. And this year in June, I was able to get the first skin surgery. And it felt like this year almost went by so fast because of that. To where when I visited recently in California, I was telling everyone there, it felt like I was just here 2 weeks ago. In fact, the performance that I typically do as the Grinch, I usually have to nail down the lines, 2 or 3 different run-throughs just to keep them. But it was like I had just performed. I didn't need to go through a run-through. It was really weird how this year just flew by. But if I think about this year, and, as we talk about this year for you in a moment, I reflect that the very beginning of the year made a lot of progress in regards to really learning about running. And what, I think it was this year, the beginning part of this year, I really learned about Zone 2 training. I really learned and expanded my knowledge on running to where I could coach and really speak to somebody about running and help them, get through or talk about some fundamentals that would be very beneficial. It's not that I didn't know things about running before, but really some of the nitty gritty, like tricks of the trade, really coming through this year and really kind of diving into running and really realizing how therapeutic running is. But also then now going through a moment where skin surgery became a reality. I had skin surgery and it's almost like I entered into a whole new journey to where, I had a journey of losing 300 pounds and keeping it off. And that's something I've been doing for 8 years. But now I've got this whole entire journey of, I had never spent more than a week away from the gym. And all of a sudden now I'm spending 2.5, 3 months away from the gym, not working out at all. And realizing the connectivity that I have, not only with my mental health and the alleviation that the gym provided, but really where my mental and how my mental pathways were built prior to losing 300 pounds, how they've developed in these 8 years, and how I've forged new ones that I need to rely upon today. There are so many things now, and I'm in my early 40s. I just recently had my 41st birthday, and I will say that when you cross over that 40 threshold, at least just what I've experienced, what I've talked to others about, it just becomes increasingly more difficult to have the weight just come off. I felt like it was a lot easier 6 years ago. I had lost all the weight 6 years ago. I had been keeping it off. And I could be a little bit more flexible with what I eat, and it still would just come off just because I had a good workout regimen. I focused on high protein, but it feels like my body's counting every morsel that I take in and is holding on to what it can hold on to. So it's very interesting how that's really not solidified itself this year, but I've really learned a lot about how I need to be mindful with what I eat, how I eat, when I eat. I think I really stepped into this year a practice of, I guess I don't want to say I'm practicing intermittent fasting, but kind of that structure of I don't typically eat till 12 or 12:30 just because I really love giving my digestive system a rest. I at times feel very kind of sick or nauseous when I eat too early. And so taking a break kind of lets me get set and ready and walk into the day, and it feels good. I'm not doing it to say, hey, I'm intermittent fasting to lose weight or to do this. It works for the schedule, how busy the things are in the morning with my wife and the kids, and putting something else on her plate first thing in the morning when the kids are 2 kids under 4. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. And it just works out. But, really learning that works for me. And that's not something that I have known or understood before, that works for me now. And I'm going to continue that. Well, I look at now, I recovered from skin surgery, and I was really able to say, okay, I'm now healed. I can run. How far can I push it? How far can I really do this? And conquering the 4-hour marathon is just such a sense of accomplishment, but it's also such a sense of like, whoa, like there's no longer this huge buildup of anticipation that I need to get this big task that's been weighing on me. Like, it's done. And I just paced the time that I just, like me giving it everything that I had in October of 2023, my very first marathon, me giving everything, just completely wiped 4 hours and 30 minutes. This weekend, I paced 4 hours and 30 minutes. I came in right there at 4:29:35, which they ask you to be within a minute of the goal time. And I at the end of it, like, I felt good. I didn't feel like I felt it was smooth. No cramping, no nothing. Learning about, all that, and just crazy what this year has been really a learning. I think learning mentally, learning physically, just still learning. And so, I mean, if you look back at your 2024 as we come to an end, have you learned anything about yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually? What have you learned? I've oftentimes advocated for a journal or a murder board, as you've seen on a recent post, or I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that one has been posted. But really writing down, taking a moment and writing down, reflecting what 2024, and honestly, what's the best, like if you have Google Photos or if you have something that kind of tracks the photos that you've taken over the course of the many months, I would really take an opportunity to go through, you've got a journal, go through month by month, January, February, March, April, go all the way through the year and really write down what you've learned this year. What have you grown in mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally? Where have you made progress? Write down the lessons, not the losses, not the things that, I failed. No, there's no failure. There's only lessons. There's plenty of times where I have not been able to achieve a goal. I want to go under 4 hours. I didn't do it the first 2 times. It wasn't a failure. It was a lesson. Oh, okay. I need to hydrate properly. I need to have enough gels. I can't gel every 5 miles. I got to gel every 3 miles. That works better for me. Oh, I lose a lot of salt when I'm running. That's why I'm cramping. I now have a priority of getting salts or sodium while I'm running. Has stripped my cramps. I haven't had them since I've prioritized that. So I've learned, I've taken those lessons, not failures, but I've taken those lessons. So in this year, as we reflect, before it gets busy, for Christmas and New Year's, and all of a sudden it's a new year, before all of that, take a step back. Honestly, if you can, jump on the treadmill, put it at a walking speed, and throw some notes in on your phone. What have you learned this year? Where have you grown? Where have you gotten better? Don't look ahead. Okay, this is what I want to do in 2025. That's plenty of time. There's going to be plenty of posts on Instagram, plenty of stuff out there that's going to point you to, all right, 2025, here we go, new goal. Like, take a moment now. What have I learned this year? Where have I grown? I've grown in my knowledge of not only running and what is going to allow me to excel and where I faltered before, but I've learned a lot about my mind, my mental connection hormonally. I just noticed a significant difference, and I talked about on this podcast about that connectivity of potential hormones to kind of that dark cloud mindset that I carry sometimes. And I felt like it's really changed, or it's just feels different since skin surgery. I don't know. It just feels different. And so that's a lot of discovery right there of myself and of things. And so I sit back and I reflect on what I've learned. I've learned that I can survive. It's tough, but I can survive not going to the gym for 2.5, 3 months. I can survive not working out for weeks and months at a time. I can survive. I can be fine. I can get through skin surgery. I did once, and I'm going to have to do it again. When I have my second skin surgery, I know it's going to be tough. I have an example, but I'm going to be fine. I've learned, I've grown, I've stretched my mind in a way where I know a little bit more. And I'm grateful for that. And so I look back on 2024, and I would encourage you to take a moment as you're listening to this. Think about where you were in January, where you were in February, summertime. You know, what kind of feelings come summer, were you disappointed that you either didn't reach your goal yet or you were there? You know, take some reflections. Do you want to not feel like that again and start prioritizing now? Like, where are you at? Take those lessons, take those notches of I'm better or I'm going to be better based on what you learned or what you're learning. It's always good to take an account. Okay, where have I been? What have I done? It's always important to do that because it's just going to allow you to reflect. And that's where you look at therapy and counseling. Why are they so successful? Because they position you to reflect. Well, why do you? Well, why? Well, where did and how? It's all reflection. So without going through the formalities, let's talk about what are you reflecting on in 2024? What have you learned? Where have you grown? Before looking at 2025, what have you learned and where have you grown? Find a way, my friends. That's it. That's all. I'll talk to you soon.